Between the Tecno Phantom X2 and X2 Pro, you might wonder what differentiates them, seeing that they basically look the same. Well, you're not wrong if you call them the same phones, because the differences are actually minimal, and except you want that pop-out telephoto camera, the affordable Phantom X2 might be the best value for money. The Phantom series is Tecno's premium category of smartphones, much so they don't release a Phantom device every year. With the new generation of Phantom devices, I'd say Tecno went all out, offering 3 years of software support. That's 2 major OS upgrades and 1 year of security updates. That is Android 14 guaranteed for a Tecno device. Now that's actually a first for the brand, and I'm sure everyone wants to see how well they keep to that promise. OS upgrades are not the only step up for the Phantom series. The X2 and X2 Pro is powered by a flagship Dimensity 9000 processor, miles apart from its predecessor which had a Helio G95. So the performance jump is massive and puts it in the flagship killer conversation. Flagship killer because not only does it come with a flagship processor, it also sports that premium flagship build quality with curved Gorilla Glass Victus protected display, all while costing less than $700 for the Pro version and just a little over $500 for the regular X2. In Nigeria, the Phantom X2 Pro costs about 470,000 naira, while the X2 costs 373,000 naira. The purpose of this video is not to praise Tecno's progress with the Phantom series, but rather to answer the question of which offers the best value between the X2 and X2 Pro. So let's get right to it. If you wish to see individual reviews of the Phantom X2 or X2 Pro, I'll have them linked in the description so you can go check them out, as this video won't cover much detail about specs but mostly focus on how these two devices compare. We already know the price difference, and what makes it interesting is when it comes to performance, both devices are mostly on par. They sport the same Dimensity 9000 processor, both get the same 120Hz AMOLED display and get the same 5160 mAh battery capacity. They also come with the same box and the same accessories. Yeah, you get slight performance differences in the RAM capacity. The X2 Pro gets 12 gigs of RAM while the X2 gets 8 gig. Doesn't make the Pro faster though, it just means it will handle a few more apps in the background when it comes to multitasking. But I'd say 8 gigs of RAM is plenty sufficient for any device as long as it has a capable processor. On design, they are also the same for the most part, except that you only get that signature orange version with the Pro. It is also the eco-friendly version with the rear built with recycled ocean plastic. Also, only the X2 Pro gets that much marketed retractable telephoto camera. The Phantom X2 gets a depth sensor instead. But it also gets its own advantage as its main camera is 64 megapixels with OIS. The Pro doesn't get OIS on its 50 megapixel main camera. They both get the same 13 megapixel ultra-wide camera and the same 32 megapixel selfie camera. In terms of picture quality, I'd say where the X2 Pro gets an edge is with portrait shots, as the dedicated telephoto camera allows it to shoot better portrait shots without needing to get too close to the subject. But that doesn't mean the X2 does not take solid looking portraits. You might even prefer its quality. The telephoto camera also allows it to go up to 20x zoom as opposed to just 10x on the regular X2. On regular photos from their main cameras, I found the X2 to have slightly warmer tone to its photos compared to the X2 Pro, and it looks more vibrant. Ultra wide shots look the same thanks to having the same 13 megapixel camera. Night shots also look close, except that you notice a bit more noise in the darker areas from the X2. Selfies look mostly the same and you can barely tell them apart. That is expected since the selfie camera on both devices is the same. Both the Phantom X2 and X2 Pro have the same video capabilities, able to shoot up to 4K 60fps from their rear camera. The X2 Pro does not get OIS like the X2, but both can use ultra steady at 4K 30fps. Okay, so shooting from the selfie cameras of the Tecno Phantom X2 and X2 Pro. And by the roadside, so it's going to be a bit noisy, but then we can also use that to test how the microphone picks sound. So they are both 32 megapixel selfie cameras and they are shooting in 1080p 30 fps. Can go up to 60 fps from selfie camera, but maximum is 1080p. But the rear cameras can do as high as 4K 30 fps. The selfie camera has the same, but from viewfinder, the processing is looking different. So I don't know if it's just the display, but you guys can tell any difference or they look the same. So, yep. What do you think about the camera quality? Let me try some HDR, which I doubt it's going to have. And then their microphone quality. Looking at the Tecno Phantom X2 and X2 Pro, what majorly separates them is the retractable telephoto camera and the difference in RAM size. Basically everything else between these devices is the same. You can expect the same performance all around except from the rear cameras. They will both handle the same task flawlessly. In my opinion, if you do not need that retractable telephoto camera, the X2 is much better value since it's more affordable and it takes great photos too. So, which will you pick between the Tecno Phantom X2 and X2 Pro?